Hello, this is me, Ian. Sorry. So the reason I always, so I was diagnosed with not autism. I wish I was diagnosed with autism. No, I was diagnosed with ADHD at a young age of 8. Mainly, I think had to do with the fact that I was bullied at a young age. And that could have helped me develop ADHD. And I deal with inattention, hyperactive. Essentially, if you watch the Naruto Part 1 anime and you see Naruto bouncing off the walls doing, who knows what, that's pretty much ADHD. ADHD works based on dopamine. So people who with ADHD will do anything to get dopamine, and there's two ways to get it. You can do not great things like hurting yourself or making people mad or calling people awful words and stuff. That's one way to get dopamine. There's also one way to go to a mental hospital. You could also do it in a much more positive way, which is like doing stuff like devil diving. I can't remember what it's called, but pretty much you go on roller coasters, you do all sorts of fun things, you test the limit of your mind in the sense of what you can and cannot do when it comes to, let's say you're on a plane and you're afraid of heights, like me. Ironic, I know I'm 6'5". Well, or daredevil. Pretty much people with ADHD tends to be daredevil. And the reason I know that, because I also have ADHD and I like to do extreme things. It is what I do. However, so a while ago, I didn't know I had autism my whole life. Like, I know I had repetitive movements. I know I had issues with social cues. I know that I have a lot of the symptoms of autism, but I never know that I had it, because back in the day when I was a little kid, I was diagnosed with PDD and OS, pervasive developmental disorder not otherwise specified, and it's no longer a diagnosable trait. It's no longer diagnosable, meaning I don't have a diagnosis. So it's gone, because what that turned into is ASD. ASD stands for Autism Spectrum Disorder, and I have done quite a fair share of research online, and some of these may be false. Okay, that's understandable, but a lot of the research I have done is from official autism awareness sites and so on that supports people with autism. So, in fact, me moving my hand like this is STEM. It's what's called STEM. It's to regulate, to help regulate. But so why I'm learning I have autism is because my entire life I never know I have autism. I was so good at masking my own autism that I just never realized. My brain just never, it never clicked or dawned on me that I have autism until a while ago when I had issues with my medication, and I had to go through a withdrawal from my meds. Not had to. I ended up going through withdrawal because something wasn't right. I don't know. And honestly, I didn't take my meds because I thought that I couldn't get my meds because of the government and my Medicaid and blah. Not my fault, okay? Which led me to have, panic attacks. Because panic attacks can affect you when you're stressed and you change. Which is also another thing about autism is people with autism do not like change. I do not like change. Maybe there's some similarity there. Maybe. Just saying. But also, so I done research, and I know my mom will hate me talking about this because she told me to stop. I don't really care. I'm not gonna stop. But so the reason I know I have autism because when I was panicking, I had panic attacks, and I was going through withdrawal. I would stim. Stim is a number one key, not number one, but it's one of the key sign of autism. Well, everyone stim. Even ADHD people who has ADHD stim, but it's not really. It's called stim. It's fidgeting. So like doing this. That's fidgeting. Oh, moving the pencil, taking a pencil and moving back and forth. So, moving your leg up and down. Stuff like that. That is fidgeting. Oh, those fidget toys that I love because they help me focus. But however, people with autism stim. People with ADHD does not stim. They fidget, and that's the same thing, completely different. But the reason I'm learning that I have autism is because when I ended up going to the hospital, I would not stop flapping my hand. I don't know why. It's a subconscious thing that I do, and it's not joke movement. Sometimes it is, sometimes it's not. I have tardive dyskinesia, which is another thing I was diagnosed with a while ago, but that's because I take Risperdal, which is a prescription I get from a doctor, and one of the side effects of that is tardive dyskinesia. Not fun, but that's completely different. But like doing this, I don't know how. My point is, I had an issue. I had to go to the hospital, and I was flapping my hand. Another time that I noticed I had autism was when my sister, my older sister, my mom, and of course my older sister, youngest kid, Winnie, my favorite kid in the world. But I don't like it. I love my kid. Now, she's not my kid, she's my niece, and I love her, and I love all of my sister kids. Even the little feisty Jasper. Jasper is not feisty, but I don't care, I still love him. So we were going to the building hospital for for something, I can't remember. It was for my surgery that I had like last month, which was to reconnect my small intestine back up with my bum, so I can poop. Normal people, even though it wouldn't be normal because it's liquidy, but whatever, I don't care. So we went to Billings, not the hospital yet, but the city Billings, and we went to Winco. This was a completely new Winco to me, new layout, new everything. I went inside, I'm like, okay, and then I started to feel just a little bit of overwhelm. I felt a little bit overwhelmed. Then as soon as we walked back to grab stuff, I can't remember what we were grabbing, I was completely overwhelmed with senses. The bright lights was hurting my eyes, which they had like really bright lights. The smell was just, it wasn't hurting me, but it smelled different, if that makes any sense. And like, the feel was completely different to me. I've been to many Wincos in the past. I mean, when I lived in Twin Falls, there's a Winco there. But for whatever reason, my body did not like being in this Winco, and I was starting to do what pretty much everyone who deals with autism meltdown, and obviously autistic, they'll start to do when they get autism meltdown. I started to walk back and forth. I was doing repetitive movements. I would walk back and forth, flap my hand, trying to get my body to regulate itself, I was trying everything to calm myself down. It was not working. In fact, I was making it worse. Eventually, my mom had to step in and basically tell me, calm down. She had to step in and tell me to calm down, because if it wasn't for her, it would be a huge episode of just me acting like a child, even though I wasn't a child. Yeah. It was not fun. And there's also, another thing is with ADHD, I know this from fact because I deal with ADHD meltdowns. It's actually one of the reasons why I have to take meds, because if I don't, my body will just go, my emotion, I'll completely lose control of my emotions, and my emotions will, I'll end up with a ADHD meltdown. The difference between those two is ADHD meltdowns are driven by emotions, which is why you'll sometimes see me, like I'll listen to a song and then it gets really, then I just feel sad and depressed and I just want to cry. And then I'll end up calling my mom and I'll be like, I feel sad. And my mom's like, did you take your meds? I'm like, no. And my mom will be like, you need to take your meds. I'm like, okay. So when I move back to Twin Falls, I need to learn how to control my emotions and regulate my emotions, because I don't want to end up with meds to control my emotions. Not fun. I have anger issues. I have depression. I have sadness. Sadness and depression can go hand in hand, but whatever. I have sadness, depression. I have anger. I have, I just have a lot of emotions, and I like to max my emotions from people, because I have a self. What I'm trying to say is I put this fake self out there that I'm this good person that does nothing bad and trying to be a nice, cuddly person. Because that in a way that is me, And so if I So I had to hide my emotions or mask my emotions because I'm afraid of what people will think of me when I am in a complete emotional state with no control over my mind. Also, I deal with panic attacks. Also, people who are autistic deals with panic attacks as well. So that's another similarity that I have. But autism meltdowns are based on sensory overload. There's also possible I could have a sensory type disability that isn't autistic. However, I don't believe that because you can ask pretty much 2 of my closest friends and they can tell you that I am autistic. I'm not even joking. Like in the past, I would walk like, I don't know why, but I would goof around. I'd be walking and then I'll have my hand like, like how girls have their hands. I'd be like, la 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 la, hee hee hee. I don't know why. I just was being a goofball, and that's another sign of repetitive movements and stimming that I didn't know was me stimming at all. I was just being a goofball. But people know full well that I am autistic. I'm not diagnosed yet. I will see a psychiatrist whether after I move or before I move, whatever. I'll see a psychiatrist who specializes in autism because I want to be able to test to see if I have autism. And if I do, great. If I don't, okay, I'll leave it alone. That's it. I just want to know if I have autism. Because the thing is, I try to go to my doctor. I have 2 doctors. I have a doctor in Billings Clinic here in Miles City. I have another doctor who works at Holy Rosary, which is the hospital here. So we went to, so the one we went to see about seeing a psychiatrist was the one in the Billings Clinic. The thing is, I tried to ask her, but I personally felt like she was just agreeing to what my mom said. My mom was like, I don't think you have autism. Just because there's similarity doesn't mean you have autism. I'm like, I'm sorry, you don't. Like, my mom doesn't believe anything I say, so it really doesn't matter. My mom doesn't understand my emotions. My mom doesn't know what I'm going through. My mom doesn't seem to want to understand how I feel at all. And so when I explained to her I have very similar symptoms to autism, like social, like not having good cues, not having good social cues, not being socially active or socially interactive with people, not having social anxiety. That's another thing I have. It's not diagnosed, but I do have some social anxiety, which is another thing people with autism has. I also have separation anxiety, but that's not mainly because I don't like being separated from my dog. I don't like being separated, so I always have to keep my mind blank, because if I don't, I'm going to think about my dog, and I'm going to get stressed, and that ain't not fun. But my point is, I deal with all of these emotions and stuff that I had to deal on a constant basis, and yet my mom doesn't believe me. Oh, it doesn't believe me. And it frustrates me. It really does, because my mom is the closest parent I have. I mean, so I still have a dad. He's a great dude, but for the most part, he was not in the majority of my life. Okay, you had to understand, my dad was in the military when I was a kid, and I grown up with my mom a lot more than my dad, and part of that, I think, is what caused me to develop a lot of emotions, because I was never really taught how to control my emotions at a young age at all. I put it this way: when I was a teenager, when I was going to high school and all that, and even after I graduated, and I was still there with my parents, me and my dad would have a yelling contest of who can make the other one more angry. Essentially, we were butting heads. I was making everyone miserable. What I was trying to do is I was trying to make everyone happy. I had no self-care of myself, and so I was miserable. I was miserable, and this is also the time where I had to lose Chewy. I had to put him down, and it makes me sad every time I talk about Chewy. And he, and I pray to God. I literally pray to God, asking for someone to help me, and stuff like that. And God answered with having Sandy work with me. Legit. I'm not even saying, I'm not joking. Sandy was the answer that God gave to me. What I mean is, I prayed to Heavenly Father for help, and I got help, and that was Sandy. Whether my mom likes her or not, it doesn't matter, because you know what matters? I like her, because I can trust her, because I can trust her better than my own parents. And hell, there's even times where I was reincarnated to be her son. And yeah, I know that's not a nice thing to say, but you had to understand, she treats me with respect. Sandy treats me with respect and dignity and everything I wanted. All I want is to be treated with respect, treated like I'm an adult. And so there may be times where I may not behave like one. Okay, we all have those times. But that doesn't mean my parents have the right to treat me like I'm still their 8-year-old son. You see, because that's how they treat me every day. Please do not attack my mom or my dad. That'll just make everything worse, and I will probably hate you for the rest of humanity. I'm not joking. But seriously though, I am not joking. Don't attack my mom or my dad. I love them both. Even though a lot of the times I'll say I hate them. It's a love and hate relationship. Okay, just how it is. But my mom, both my parents don't treat me like I'm an adult. They don't respect me like I'm an adult. They treat me like I'm still their 8-year-old son. And and the reason I love Sandy so much, because she treats me like an adult. She treats me like I'm part of her family. That's what I want. I want to feel included. And with my family, with my biological family, I don't feel that. Especially with my parents, when they decided to ditch me and move to freaking Maine and become travel nurses. When I moved here to help my damn parents. I ruined everything. I got rid of everything I ever collected in my life just to live with my damn parents. And all they did was move to fucking Maine. Excuse me. Sorry. I didn't mean to get mad. I'm really sorry. I lost my composure. I think I'm done.